Welcome to the Bahrain International Circuit, and any moment now our drivers will take to the track and the Bahrain Grand Prix can begin. The 3.36 miles of Bahrain International Circuit are seldom driven in wet conditions, so there are all new challenges in store for our drivers today. 6 lefts and 9 rights make up the 15 corners here, with turns 1 and 4 the best chances to overtake. So with the race not far away from starting, here's what today's grid rundown looks like. Fernando Alonso lines up on pole position, and Oscar Piastri completes the front row. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Verstappen, Leclerc, Hamilton, Perez, Stroll, Sainz, Russell, Norris, Gasly, Hülkenberg, Magnussen, Ocon, Sargent, Albon, Bottas, Joe, Tsunoda, and Daniel Ricciardo fills the last spot on the grid. Now it's almost time for lights out, so let's go down to the track. Well, it's not going to be plain sailing for our drivers today, although with the sky falling as it is, perhaps sailing isn't too far from the truth. Anthony Davidson, could be a wet one today. Great to have you with us. What are your thoughts?
It is a touch damp, isn't it? Well, as a driver, there are 3 big things to worry about when racing in these kind of conditions: standing water, tyre temperature and visibility. Judging distance to the cars around you is really tricky when you're driving through the vast amounts of spray that these wet weather Pirelli tyres kick up.
Okay, here we go. I know what you can do. Don't let me down. job. That was the fastest lap of the race so far. That was the fastest lap of the race. Keep this up. Well done. driving. That is the race win, my friends. Well done.
That's it then for another spectacular Grand Prix here in Bahrain, and a real champion's drive to take the win. Tell me, Ant, how do you think they were able to deliver such an incredible result today?
Well, they clearly have a car that comes alive in the kind of conditions we were dealing with today. It's a very balanced package in the wet, and what that means is that the drivers have confidence to attack. And having that confidence gets you on the power earlier, it lets you brake later, and can put you a long way up the road.
And I can see the drivers starting to approach the podium for the victory celebrations. A real team victory today. Everybody played their part. Congratulations then to Mercedes, your race winners. It's Monte Carlo with history, glamour and a uniquely tight and claustrophobic challenge. One that over the course of a lap sees us tour an entire country. Welcome along to the Monaco Grand Prix. The astonishing Circuit de Monaco is, for all intents and purposes, virtually unchanged since its inaugural race back in 1929. The faster cars of today ensure the 19 corners past the casino and along the seafront remain as thrilling as ever. A 2.1-mile lap here takes us around an entire country, yet never more than inches from the race-ending barriers. Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting race. It's Sergio Perez on pole today, and it's Charles Leclerc in P2. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Hamilton, Sainz, Oscar Piastri, Russell, Fernando Alonso, Norris, Stroll, Verstappen, Magnussen, Ocon, Sargent, Gasly, Hulkenberg, Albon, Bottas, Ricciardo, Zhou and Yuki Tsunoda. With preparations almost complete, let's head down to the track. Anthony Davidson will be sharing his insight alongside me once again today. What should we be looking out for, Ant? Can we start by having a chat about Sergio Perez?
Well, it was a really impressive lap in qualifying to get pole position, but are they going to be able to hold on to the lead into the first corner with so many quick starters around them? One more thing to consider is the strategy element. How far can the drivers push these tyres, and who's going to blink first for fresh rubber? It'll be interesting to see if the leaders have to compromise their plan to cover off the cars behind them.
Strategy available on the MFD. superb driving. That is the race win, my friends. Well done.
They've done it then. They've won here in Monaco with an emphatic performance and a victory they can be proud of for many years to come. Well, Anthony Davidson, a resounding victory today, but what set them apart from the rest?
I really feel the track layout combined with the track temperatures we saw today suited their car. These cars come alive when the tyres are just at the right temperature, and the driver did a great job managing that as well. They just look so comfortable out there. It's like anything, it always looks so easy when it all just clicks.
Well, Mercedes are on top form once again after an excellent race weekend. It's great to see them up on that podium once again.